All right, wonderful. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Tashana Johnson. Use she, her pronouns, and I'm one of the program managers with the Whole You, your well-being and engagement team. We're joined today by Ruth Kaneko from BECU to talk about budgeting, how to create a plan for ourselves, and what are some of the resources that are available to us. Thank you so much for being here. This recording will be shared with anyone who registered so that you're able to rewatch or revisit any of the material. Ruth, thank you for being here. I always enjoy your presentation and your personality. Go ahead and take it away.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Well, hello everybody. Thank you so much for having me. I love coming out to the UW and doing online webinars and classes. Y'all are my favorite, I'm going to say. I'm not lying. I love it. Again, thank you. Again, my name is Ruth Kaneko. I am one of the financial educators here at BECU. Been in the financial industry for about 14 years now. Boggles the mind when you say that. But get to do things like this, right? We get to bring free financial education to our communities and schools and just businesses and everything. So really excited, especially because today is one of my favorite topics to talk about. It is all about, of course, budgeting, right? Budgeting is such a huge topic, so we're going to take some time today to kind of dive into this topic of just what is this whole budgeting thing? How do we really make it work? How do we really make it work for us, right? Instead of sometimes we feel that maybe it works against us. So let's kind of dive in. But first of all, before we do that, I want to get an idea of where you all are at because it really helps me to kind of gauge the webinar to you all. So in the chat, first of all, just to get those fingers moving because we're going to use the chat a lot today, I want you to tell me where you are at in the budgeting journey. Are you kind of in that, are you a kind of new to budgeting in that area, new to budgeting area? Are you a born budgeter? I was not a born budgeter. I can tell you that I know born budgeters. Like it was just like they walked out of the womb knowing how to budget and do their finances, right? I was not one of those people. I had to make it a honed skill. So tell me if you, oh, see, yep, I'm seeing some people, lifelong budgeter. I love it, but I fall off the bandwagon. Thank you for being so honest. I love that. Beginner, ooh, avid learner, new, not much experience, need a refresher. Oh, I love it. I love it. This is why I love coming to UW because y'all are wonderful. A couple people are saying not a born budgeter, but in theory, yes, I've done budgeting. Love it. All right, good. So I'm seeing a lot of people who said they need a refresher, so this is perfect. And a lot of people who are new, and a lot of people who are exceptionally wonderful at it. So let's go. Let's do it. All right. So thank you for putting that in chat. Keep them coming because we're going to definitely use that chat a lot today. If you have any questions, again, this is your webinar, so if you have any questions, let me know. And we'll get to those questions for sure. All right, so let's dive right in. So what are we talking about today? But first of all, I want to ask you a question, a poll question real fast. And this is one of those interesting questions that I always love to ask people is, what do you think the percentage of American households are that follow a budget? Tell me in the chat. What do you think? Do you think it's 5%? Do you think it's 90%? What kind of, ooh, I'm saying 10%, 2, 4, lots of 20s. Interesting, right? 20. So I'm seeing mostly like less than half is usually what I'm seeing right now. Nice. Okay, you ready for this? Drum roll, please. 41% of American households budget, but 93% say everyone needs a budget. Just take that in for a second, which tells me half of American households have one, right? And try to stick to one. And more than half, almost all of American households say that they need a budget, right? And sometimes that can be a little challenging because maybe let me tell you, a lot of every single person has a different relationship with money. And that relationship with money really is dependent on, or it really is a big factor in how you set up your budget. So let's kind of dive right into this. So today we're going to talk about really setting financial goals. And you may be asking yourself, why are we talking about setting financial goals? Because your financial goals are really what's going to help you propel your budget into success. So we'll talk about that in just a moment. We're going to talk about, look at a case study, because sometimes when people talk to you about budgeting, it's like, ugh, right? How do I do this? Like, don't just talk to me. Show me an example. So we're going to see some examples, and then we're going to kind of round it up with some money management tips that we've gotten along the way. So let's kind of dive right into this. And first off, setting financial goals. Now, Tell me in the chat who all on this webinar has a financial goal. Write yes or no in the chat. I'm guessing mostly everybody does, which is great, right? Which is wonderful. I told you your fingers were going to be moving. So yes, everybody has a financial goal. Now, what if somebody told you that they looked at you and said, you know, someday I'm going to pay off my debt, or someday I'm going to buy that new car I want, or someday I'm going to do this? When does someday normally happen? When does someday normally happen? Tell me in the chat. There we go. Never, almost never, never without a plan. Can I just tell you who said that? That's fabulous. So never without a plan, exactly. Because a plan, I love this saying. It actually says a goal without a plan is just a wish, right? I'll say it again. A goal without a plan is just a wish. Because we just say, well, someday I'm going to do this. You know, someday I'm going to do this, but we never put a plan around it. So with your financial goals, I would highly encourage everybody when you have a financial goal, and everybody it looks like does, I want you to put them in time frames. Now, there's a couple different types of goals. You have general goals and you have specific goals, right? Again, a general goal could be, I'm going to get out of debt. A specific goal could be in 2 years, I want to pay off $20,000 of my debt, right? So that can be a more specific goal. But even more than that, I would say with any goal, you want to put them in time frames because check this out. Let's say that you do, someday isn't on the calendar. I love that. Thank you for putting that in there. So financial goals, so with time frames, let's say that one of your goals was to pay off a credit card, right? You just pay off a credit card. But let's say that instead of just saying, I'm going to pay off my credit card someday, you say, in 6 months, I'm going to pay off my $500 credit card that I've had for 4 years, right? In that instant, all of a sudden your brain went just went like, okay, $600, 5 months, and all of a sudden this long division, right, that you learned in third grade, and you figured, okay, 6 months, $600, 5 months. How am I going to pay this off? How much do I have to set aside each month to be able to pay this off, right? So with your financial goals, put them in time frames, specifically short term, medium term, and long term. So think of short term up to 3 years, medium term to 5, and long term plus 20 plus. Okay. So when you think about that, another thing you want to think of when you're setting your financial goals is really to be as specific as you possibly can. Again, don't do the whole someday. Give it a time frame. Give your goals a when do I want it by? What exactly do I want? How much is this goal going to cost me? Have accountability. How are you going to stay on track with your goals? Are you going to say to your friend who you know are going to go out on Friday nights with, say, hey, don't let me buy too much, right? Or don't let me spend too much on appetizers. Or maybe you're that friend that just wants to buy all your other friends' stuff, right? You know what I'm talking about? Like some friends will be, oh, I'll get the appetizers, I'll get the meal, I'll get the dessert, and everybody else could be pitching into. Exactly. So maybe you're that friend. So have accountability with your goals. How are you going to stay on track if you're going to look at your goals or set those up for yourself? So we'll talk about that more in just a moment. So what I want you to do right now is go ahead and put in a financial goal of yours. Yeah, a financial goal of yours in the chat. Tell me one financial goal that you have specifically. How much is it going to cost? How long do you want to? How long? When do you want to attain it by? Nice. I'm seeing a lot of buying a home. Save $10,000 by 2024. Nice. Retire completely and comfortably by age 26. I love these. I would like to pay off debt. Nice. Try to get more specific. How much debt are you going to pay off? Probably need me. There we go. Nice. Usually answer my question. Family trip abroad. Love that. Where? How much do you think it's going to cost to do this, right? Buying an electric car in 2026, pay off debt and rebuild savings to $10,000 by the end of the year. Boom, right? Right there. I love that. Pay off mortgage by retirement age. Love that. Save $1,000 a month. Fantastic goals, right? So what's the thing when they you follow the assignment or something? I can't remember what that is. But exactly, one person was saying increase savings to 6 months of salary. Don't know how to calculate how long this will take, but good job. Great starting point right there. Perfect. Thank you for writing these down. So one of the things I highly encourage you to do is that write them down. Writing your goals down is an amazing thing to do. Now you may be thinking, I don't need to write them down. They're at the back of my head right here. Well, the thing is that we always have the back of our head right here. We've got a lot going on in our lives. You have a lot going on in your lives right now, right? But the thing about that is that statistically, it's actually proven that if you write your goals down, the goals are more likely to be achievable than if you don't write them down. So get them out of your head. If you got to get them on your phone, you got to put them in your notes section, write them down on a piece of paper. I love sticky notes. I had this one lady, she wanted to take a family trip with her family, and I think they were trying to go to Disneyland. And she actually wrote Disneyland on the back of her debit card. So every time she went to buy something, she saw that word Disneyland. She was like, ooh, do I really want to buy this? Do I need this? Or can I put my money towards my trip? Right? So little things like that, writing it down where you can see it is very, very helpful. All right. Thank you so much. How did that feel to get that out of your brain and onto paper or onto the computer? Like, how did it feel to write down those goals? Again, write those goals down, highly, much more effective than just keeping them in your brain because of this case. Now, we're going to look real quick at a case study. Oh, I love that. One person saying, I write blank checks to myself and keep them on the mirror in the morning. Oh, I hope you have trustworthy roommates. I'm just kidding. I love that idea though. That's really good. That's a great one. Nice. Okay, so with your case study, oh good. All right, so with the case study, this is what you want to do. Now, here at BC, we have typically we have what's called a BC budget planner, and now there's lots of different options out there for you when you start to budget. And there, I mean, you can go on your phone, and if you have a Android or an iPhone, you can go to the Play Store or the App Store, and you can type in the word budgeting, and there are it's a plethora of budgeting apps that pop up, right? Some are free, some are not free. There's loads of them. It just depends on what kind you want to do, what works well for you. I'm definitely under the supposition that whenever you when you choose a good budgeting app for you or budgeting tool, it's really what works best for you. I know so many people who are still pen and paper. They love pen and paper because they love erasing things, right? They love like Ooh, somebody just asked, does BCU have a budgeting app? Yes, we do. And this is another thing I was going to tell you. So BCU has a budgeting app we created a couple years ago. It's called Money Manager, and it's literally inside each person. If you're with BCU, it's called Money Manager. It's in your online banking right now. You can just download the app on your phone, and it's super helpful. It's free. Totally everything we're going to talk about today you could do on your app. It's so cool. But if you're not with BCU, of course, check your financial institution and see if they have a budgeting app that you can use that's going to be free as well. Always start with free. Always start with your financial institution if that's where you're with, because then they probably can then they can get your information's there, everything like that, your purchases. So we'll talk about that a little later too. But thank you for asking. All right, so step one, of course, when you're figuring out your budget is goals. Now, like I was saying, we have a BC budget planner. I can definitely send that out to you afterwards. It's literally a PDF. You print it out and you go through this line by line with yourself and with your spouse, partner, whatever, whoever, or just by yourself. Take yourself out for coffee, right, and do it. But let me tell you, a budget is only as good as the effort you put into it. I knew this one person, they were like, oh yeah, I budget. I got my paycheck going into my checking and then I pay my bills. I'm good. That's how I budget. Like, well, okay, what are your goals? So we kind of talk about it. But let me tell you, with budgets, you want to put a little bit of effort into it at the front because then you want to set it up. Budgets were not set in stone. I would always encourage you to maybe revisit your budgets every 3 months because life happens, right? Maybe you're getting married, maybe you're moving out of town, you got a different job. Your budget's going to look a little bit different. So you want to be able to revisit your budget usually every 3 months. Just make sure everything is conducive to what you want it to do. All right, so like I was saying then, if you want that BC budget planner, let me know. I can actually send that out as well. I'll put my email up in just a second, but you can email me and let me know. I can send that out to you too. All right, so step one when creating a budget, again, is something we just did, is writing down your goals. Now, we're going to say in this case study that we have a couple these are their short-term goals. So we got the family trip to Disneyland, and what they want to do is save $100 a month, right? So I think somebody was saying that they want to save $1,000 a month and put it towards their savings. Awesome. That is a short-term goal. So for this couple, family trip to Disneyland, save $100 a month ASAP. Medium-term goals is be debt-free, buy a car, and the long-term goals is pay for college and retirement, right? So these are their goals. Again, highly encourage you to do this part. Do not skip setting down the goals because, again, this is what's really going to help propel and set up your budget. If one of your goals is to get out of debt in 2 years, your budget's gonna look a little bit different than if your goal is to take a family vacation in 6 months, right? So let's kind of dive right into it. Now, for this purposes, for step number 2, of course, of the budget, you always want to write down your income. Now, you may be saying, I know my income, it's coming, right? But if you are on commission, if you are on, maybe you work for tips, right? Maybe you get paid every once a month or twice a month. But write down your income, and of course, you want to be able to use your net income, not your gross income. For this purposes, this couple makes one person makes $2,000, one person makes $1,960 a month. So together they make about $3,960 a month. Okay. Now, again, like I was saying, always use your net income, not your gross income, of course. So take home pay. And I would also include, or actually exclude, things like your 401ks, your taxes, your deductions. I would also not include your overtime and bonuses in your budget. And sometimes that's interesting because I mean my dad, he worked on he had overtime every single paycheck. I remember this, and he would budget with that overtime. And one day the boss said no more overtime. Sorry everybody. He had to drastically change his budget. So I would encourage everybody to keep those separate because they're not guaranteed, right? All right. So next up is step number 3. Now step number 3, and again with the budget planner, it'll just literally walk you through steps 1 through 6. So step number 3 when you're budgeting is writing down your basic monthly expenses. Now, this is where you want to write down every single possibly thing you can think of, right? So from your mortgage, oops, sorry, let me go back here real quick. So from your mortgage, looks like $1,600 here. They've got their electricity bill, groceries, gasoline. This couple has a cell phone bill, pet food. And so what you want to do, and this is not obviously an exhausted list, because if it was, we'd be here all day if I put down everything. But with the budget planner and with your if you want just some pen and paper and an app, you want to write down every single thing you can possibly think of and add it up. So you want to add up all the expenses in here, subtotal it here, and then you want to get the grand total. So for this couple to be able to afford their monthly expenses, they're going to have to put aside $3,060 a month. So that's how much their basic monthly expenses are. Now, that's step number 3. Step number 4 is going to be your periodic expenses. Now, let me tell you, this is one of the #1 reasons why budgets fail in the US because of periodic expenses. Oh, yes. Because, raise your hand, and let me see if I can see the hand raising button. Raise your hand if you have a birthday. Find the hand raising button and raise your hand if you can have a birthday, or thumbs up, either one. There we go. Now I'm seeing the hands. Okay, good. Now take them down. Now, raise your hand if you know somebody with a birthday. Bear with me. I know this is kind of silly. Raise your hand if you know somebody. Good, good, good. Now keep your hands raised. Don't put them down. Keep your hands raised if you budget for that person's birthday. If you put money aside every single year for that money to pay for that friend's birthday present. Oh, good, honest people. Thank you very much. I love it. Good, honest people, right? Some of you, I'm very proud of you for those who kept your hands up. Good job. For some of us, most of us, it was like, no, you know your sister's coming around. Your sister's birthday's coming around in February. It's never going to change, right? But for a lot of times, we do not budget for it. These are periodic expenses, are those expenses where we just say, oh, they're coming up. Oh, I forgot about that. Case in point, tabs, registration, right? Your car registration. You get your tabs, your tabs are going to expire every year. You know they're going to expire in June, so right on the back of your car. And you're like, oh, you get that lovely letter in the mail that says your tabs are coming due. You just need to renew your registration, and it's $300. Oh, right? Did we budget for it? No, it was just something that, I'll figure it out when it happens. I'll just figure it out. But why do we do that to ourselves when we don't have to? So periodic expenses, again, are expenses that do not happen every month. They happen once or twice a month. So for instance, again, card tabs. You got things like birthdays, holidays, tuition, hair salon. You get your hair cut, right? Maybe every 3 months. Buying clothes if you don't go shopping every single month, maybe for a vacation. You got spending, entertainment, you got hobbies, right? Maybe you play golf. Who knows? Whatever it is that you do. These are expenses that you want to write down because you want to be able to budget for them. So it's not a whoosh, what just happened to my budget? These can be budget killers because these are ones that are like, oh, come out of left field, or they don't really come out of left field. Come on, we know they're coming. We just don't plan for it. So this is why the budgets fail a lot of times. So what I want you to do is go through January through December, and I want you to write down every possible thing that you spend your money on periodically. Write down those holidays, write down everything like that. If it's household maintenance, write down anything there. And then what you're going to do is at the very bottom, you're going to add up all of those monthly totals, and you're going to total that up. So for this couple to be able to afford those periodic expenses, they have to put in $5,150 a year. That's a large chunk, right? If you're not expecting it or you don't put it aside, that's a large chunk of money. Don't worry, we can divide it by 12. And so if you divide it by 12, now all they have to put aside is $430 per month. So that's how much they have to put aside to be able to afford these monthly expenses. So do you see why budgets fail in the US because of this? Because, again, a large chunk of money, but it is doable. We don't have to freak out every time this happens because if we plan for it, we plan for it. I'm going to show you a couple ways on kind of how to separate this out in just a moment, so hang tight. But next up, we're going to go to step number 5. Now, step number 5, of course, is the outstanding net debt. Now, I used to say everybody has debt. Some people were like, no, I don't. I don't have debt. Well, that's, which is fantastic. So here's some things that you want to do with that. Now, outstanding debt is definitely something you want to write down, and it is obviously part of your budget because if you've been paying bills, a lot of people, when I asked them what your financial goals were get out of debt, right? Pay off those cards, pay off that car, save for retirement, things, or retirement's a little separate. But for debt, what you want to do is this for step 5 is, of course, write them down. Any debt that you have. If you owe your sister $200 for something she bought you 5 years ago or something she helped you with 5 years ago, and write it down. You're going to want to pay her off because why? It's always going to be in the back of your head. It's going to be in the back of your head until you pay her off. I know you know what I'm talking about. So it may not be your sister, maybe somebody else, maybe it's an uncle, right? Who knows? So in this case, what I want you to do for these purposes for your debt is I want you to, for this couple, they wrote down the creditor, the balance, how much they owe, the monthly payment. If it's more than the minimum payment, that's great. The due date, and then especially the interest rate, right? And I'll show you why that's so important in just a moment. Very, very important that you definitely write down the interest rate, and then you total up the balance. So you get the total balance here of how much you owe. I know it's a little daunting. And then the monthly payment here. So this is how much the couple has budgeted for to be able to afford their payments, right? So $655 is how much they budgeted towards their debt to be able to have this, to be able to keep up with their debt. Now, one of the things I highly encourage you to do is check out your credit reports just to make sure that you know all of the debts that you have, anything that you have. If you have a parking ticket collections, put that down, right? The place I would highly include going to is going to be annualcreditreport.com, and I'll actually put that in the chat. Annualcreditreport.com is the only website to get all three credit reports for free. Sorry, just direct message one person. Let me go and do that to everybody. So yeah, go to annualcreditreport.com. It'll take you to all 3 of the websites, Experian, TransUnion, Equifax, and check out your credit report to make sure you have everything on there listed of your debt. Perfect. Nice. I love this. One person was saying, I found it super helpful to have the outstanding debt of my car payment to be split every 2 weeks rather than a lump sum at the end of the month. Helps me out. Yes, right? I used to do the same thing, actually. I would, if your payment's $300, you chunk it out. You got $150 here, and the next paycheck you do $150. Yeah, because $300, whatever your payment is, feels like a lot. So that is a fantastic idea, and it makes a lot more palatable, right? Nice. One person was asking, is there a limit of credit reports you can run per year for free? So, annual credit report typically in the past has done one free credit report free per year. So I would always like set a ticker on my phone for like June. And in June, I would check all my credit reports like January or Experian, TransUnion, Equifax. But you can always space them out, so you can get Experian in January, TransUnion in June, and Equifax in December if you want to do that. Or I haven't been there recently, but they used to do, because of COVID. During COVID, they actually gave people access to their credit reports once per week, which was awesome. But typically it's just once per year, but they may still be doing the once per week thing. So check that out for sure. Yeah, great question. Thank you. And I can definitely share the slides to be sent out as well. Somebody was asking, so yes. All right, so here's the debt. So we got the debt. Now, step number 6 is kind of fun, right? Step number 6, this is where you have the spending worksheet. This is kind of where the rubber meets the road, right? This is where you're going to write down, of course, again, go back to how much you make, $39.60 for this couple. Their basic monthly expenses were $3,060. They had $900 left. The periodic expenses, do you remember how much that was? They had a budget, I think, $430 for that. So they had a total of $470 left after all those expenses. However, they still had their debt, right? So their debt payments were all total to be about $655. So you can probably guess it for all my math whizzes out there that they are a little bit over budget. Now, we do not want to be over budget because, of course, can we all agree that being negative is not a good thing? Who will agree to that? Being negative our budget, never a good thing. So what's something that we can go do to our budget? If you find that you're like, okay, I'm eking by, or I'm negative, or I am not where I want to be. I want to have more money, more wiggle room so I can put more money towards my debt, more money towards my savings, right? Putting that $1,000 savings away. I want to be able to start doing that. So when you look at your budget, if you're not where you want it to be, one thing I encourage you, of course, is to look at your goal, really focus on your goals. Go back to your goals and say, okay, what are my goals? If one of my goals is to do, again, a family trip abroad or my retiring pretty soon, how much do I actually want to set aside for everything? And what can I cut back on so that I can make these goals a reality? So focus on your goals, get creative, and cut back, not out. Cutting out actually rarely works. You know what I'm talking about? Like going cold turkey. I think I tried this one time. It was sugar. It was like a Monday morning, and I told myself, Ruth, you're going off of sugar. It's a crutch. You're never gonna. Don't eat it again. It's gross. Gross, right? This was at 9 o'clock on the Monday morning. I think it took me about 3 hours until I ran down to the next gas station and got myself like the largest Snickers bar out there. Yeah, I was proud of myself. It was like 3 hours. Good job. But going cold turkey on things rarely ever works, but cutting back does, unless it's bad for you. But cutting back does on your when you're looking at your finances. And thank you for the person who put that in the chat. According to their website, during the COVID-19 pandemic, accessing your card is important. That's why Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion are continuing to offer free weekly online credit reports. Yes, awesome. They're still doing that. I thought they were. That's great. So definitely check that out. All right, so with that in mind, once you kind of look at your goals again, you go look at your budget, you revisit it, and you think, okay, where can I actually make some cutbacks? So I'm going to ask you all this question. Take a look at this budget. Take a look at these expenses that they have. And I've kind of already done some right here, done some adjustments in the red, but tell me one area where you could possibly get them or help them to cut back. Or what are some things that you do to cut back on your expenses that you find helpful, right? Could it be in the area of groceries or your cell phone bill? Tell me in the chat something, at least one thing that you could get this couple to cut back on. Ooh, nice. Take the bus, light rail. Yes, transportation, meals out. All right, let me ask you this question. How would you do meals out? Ooh, I love that. Meal prepping. Yes, Sunday. Take a day. Meal prep. Picnic. Oh, I love that. Meals out. Go on a picnic. Get a better rate on your credit card. Yes. Less DoorDash. That's just mean. I'm just kidding. Yes, definitely. Buying things in bulk instead of going to the store every single day. Yes. So my in-laws are Japanese. My husband's from Japan, from Tokyo, and it cracks me up because they go to store every single day to buy things, and I'm like, well, why don't you just buy like fish for 2 days? And it's just not a thing that they do, right? But to me, we buy a bulk here, right? Because we don't want to go store every day. So that's a great thing. I love that. But of course, their fish over there is amazing. But yes, buy things in bulk. Shopping the sales. Yes. Couponing. What's that show? Extreme couponing. Oh, that's a full-time business. That's amazing. That's a full-time job. Are you serious? Couponing. This one person said that their best friend bought a house by saving. I love that. It can be done. Thank you for putting all those in. I know this one person, they were on this webinar one time. Oh, I love this. What are the best sources for coupons? There are a lot of coupon sites out there. And everybody else, if you want to chime in, talk about the best sources. I don't know if I would say the best sources that I know of, but there's, of course, online coupon sites. There are, if you go to, I mean, uh, paper and scissors are always good. Those are coupons as well. But there are lots of sites out there too. I'll get that answer for you in just a second. But when you think about it, there are so many cell phone providers right now, right? So we have Verizon, we have T-Mobile, we have a plethora of them. One gentleman came on this webinar and he actually said that he puts a ticker on his cell phone for every 3 months, and every 3 months he gets this reminder that says you are check your cell phone provider and your car insurance. So what he does is every 3 months he calls up these service providers and he asks them, "Hey, are there any discounts that I can take advantage of, or am I using all my minutes on my phone, or what are some things I can cut back on here?" And he says that it's usually about, I think he said 80-20, like 20% of the time they said, or so 80% of the time they said no, 20% of the time they said yes. And he said that even though it made a little bit of a difference, it made a little bit of a difference, right? Small little incremental changes like that can make a big difference. Oh, I love that. One person said meal planning based on what's on sale at grocery stores, seasonal items. Buy what's on the list and try not to impulse buy. Making a list and never go to stores hungry. You know what I'm talking about? Yes. Buy less meat. Yes, absolutely. It's amazing. I'm doing this one person. She was saying that she actually figured out when the grocery stores were going on sale on specific items. She said that she figured out what time of year, every time of year, these like pasta would go on sale, or fruit would go on sale, specific fruit, right? That's pretty awesome. Yes, I love that. Add eggs to the buy list right now too. They're about as high as meat because seriously, oh my goodness, for sure. So I love that. Convince your parents to keep you on their cell phone and then pay them for your part of the family plan. Yes, I think that's a great idea. I think it's fantastic. It sounds funny, but you know what? Saves everybody money for sure. I love that. Well, thank you so much, everybody. So like these are, I love these suggestions. That's why I love asking you all. So if you take all of these suggestions that you just said and you cut them back, y'all are very creative, right? So you cut them back just a little bit. For instance, groceries, we got them down from 550 to 425. Look at have you ever seen the floor plan of a grocery store? Probably thinking, yeah. Where's the meat? Actually, where's the milk? Where's the dairy when you walk into a grocery store? Tell me in the chat, where's the dairy? Outside along the perimeter, right? It's in the back. It's in the back. You have to go through the whole store to get your milk or your eggs. Grocery stores are not set up for you. They're set up to make money, right? So you have to go through all the like ding dongs and the ho hos and yeah, I'm hungry right now, and the chips and all the fun stuff. And you're like, oh yeah, I need that to get to the stuff that you actually need. Exactly. So they know what they're doing. It's totally set up right. So if we even get them down just a little bit, so for instance, we didn't take them down a whole bunch, but we took them down from like 400 to 380 here. Now, some people will say, well, what about your mortgage? Is this something we can take them down at? I would say with a mortgage, you want to if you interest rates are definitely higher than they were a little bit ago. I would say if you want to refinance your mortgage, you want to go at least a full percentage lower than to make it worth it at all. But that's something I had this coworker, she had an extra room, and so she rented out the room. She rented out to, people along the couple year, for a couple years, and she rented it out. Let me see, too. It was just a person she met that needed a room, and then she rented it out to a family member. Which one do you think actually paid rent? Yep. Not the family member, right? But yes, exactly. So if we get them down just a little bit, consolidating debt, we'll talk about that in a second. I love that. So we got them down to about 29.15. So from 30.60 to 29.15. Again, we didn't cut them down a whole lot, just a little bit. Now let's go to this one. periodic expenses. Take a look at these expenses on the screen. Tell me at least 2 areas or 2 expenses that you could technically or get them down or cut them back on. Would it be the clothing and entertainment? Yep. How would you get them down on entertainment and salons? Like how would you get them to cut back on that? Gifts? Yep. Get them to cut back on gifts. How would you get them to do that though? Do your nails and hair? Yep. Go to salons less frequently. Go to the discount stores? Yes. Shop for sales. Handmade Christmas gifts? Yes. Look at the free events in the area. Buy gifts on Groupon. Homemade gifts. I love these, right? It's amazing how many free activities there are that we just don't take advantage of. I think there's so many sites. I have 2 little girls, and they're 2 and 4. And man, during the summertime, I didn't realize how many free events there were everywhere. We were like, let's go, right? I love that. Make it gifts instead of buying. Also, when you think of gifting, we usually, you know what I want for a gift? Time. I would love somebody to be like, my sister be like, hey, you know what? For your birthday, I'm gonna give you 2 hours. You go do what you need to do. I'm gonna watch the girls for you. I would rather that than a sweater I may not wear, right? So giving gifts of time, amazing. Exactly. Oh, I love that. Join the neighborhood buy nothing group. Yes, lots of places online, lots of places to buy things that are free. Or I'm sorry, buy things that are free. Get things that are free that normally you might pay for. Exactly. Awesome. So yeah, so if we take them down a little bit here, and get them down a little bit special entertaining. Notice we didn't cut anything out. We just cut it back because let's say that one of your goals or one of your pastimes was go golfing, right? And maybe I would never say cut it out. I would say maybe walk instead of ride, right? Maybe play 9 holes instead of 18. Play maybe a cheaper course. Don't give it up if you love it, but maybe cut it back a little bit. Exactly. There was this one guy who came and he actually had 2 little girls as well, and he said that you all know how expensive winter coats are, right? They're extremely expensive, especially for kids who grow like weeds. And what he did is he actually had 2 little girls and he kind of apparently measured them every winter to kind of see how much they would grow. And what he did is that he said he would go and buy during the springtime, right when it hits spring, and that's when the coats are usually on massive amounts of sale, and he would buy his daughters coats for the next winter. So he would buy them, wrap them up, put them in his bed or in the closet, and before the winter, hit, he'd be like, "Hey, girls, I have a surprise for you." He saved a lot of money on those coats because he planned ahead, right? So that's one of the cool things I loved that he did. So thank you for telling me all these little bits of information, little bits of helpful cutting back tips. I love them. So again, we got them to cut back a little bit, right? So you'll see the ones in red here is where we did the cutbacks. And you're going to notice that the grand total is $4,680 to afford these expenses. So we divide them by 12. So we got them down to about 390. So we took them down about 40 bucks, right? Again, didn't cut out a whole lot, or didn't cut out anything. We just cut back a little bit. So thank you for doing that. Ooh, buying wrapping paper after the holidays for next year. Yes, savings, huge savings. I love this. All right, so you may be thinking to yourself, oh, I have a lot of things going on in my head. I've got a lot going on. How am I going to keep this all separate? Now I got my monthly expenses. Now I got my periodic expenses. How in the world? I hear you, right? Lots of stuff happening. So one thing my coworker actually turned me on to was this. So with BECU, you can open up as many savings accounts and checking accounts for free. Doesn't matter. I don't know where you bank, so if your bank charges you for extra accounts, I would say be careful. But if they do not, this is a great way to do this. What she did is that she said that she opened up a separate checking account. She nicknamed it periodic expenses. And so every month she set up an automatic transfer to go from her checking account, her normal checking account, to her periodic expense checking account. She got a separate debit card for this account. And she actually wrote on the back of the card periodic expenses. So she knew which card she needed to pull out when her son's birthday came around, and it was a different color card. Like we have like red cards and we have like UW Husky cards. UW Husky cards, and so she got that one for her periodic expense card, right? So that's how she separated out in her mind. So when her taxes came due or tabs came due, then she would hand over that card. So that's one way to keep it separate. Trust me, y'all have a lot of stuff going on in your head. It's nice to be able to separate that out and be like, okay, this is for my regular checking, this is for my periodic expense checking. Now, personally, I like to do it a little bit different, and this sounds so strange, but I have about all right, about 10 savings accounts. I got about 10 savings accounts. And for my savings accounts, I actually I open them up. I don't get ATM cards for those all those savings accounts. Don't do it. And I nickname those accounts. So I'll do like one for home, one for electricity, one for food, one for groceries, one for shopping or clothes, one for diapers, right? So this is what I do, and I separate all my expenses out that way. And I have one for tabs, right, for card tabs. So I do it that way because for me, again, your brain has got so much going on, and it's just for me, it's helpful to be able to separate that. So whenever I get paid, you just put money into each one of those accounts, and then if you need to pay something from those accounts, you just transfer the money right back to your checking account. Easy peasy, right? Um, no. Oh, good question. One person was asking, do you keep a check register for all 10 accounts? The nice thing is that you see them all. So I actually don't have to because I know exactly what's going in there and what I have to pay. And it's literally budgeting item by item. I love that. Oh yeah, one person saying, I used to remember my parents used to have a Christmas savings account. They put a little into every month and then they bought gifts with it. You remember that? My grandma did that. My mom did that too. I thought that was genius. Yeah, that was such a great way of doing that. Um, oh, one person's asking, do you do automatic layaway? Yes. Do you do automatic transfers to those savings accounts? Yes, I do. So whenever you get paid, money will just go. So you budget for how much food you need per month. So you have that budget. Um, although when I was pregnant, that budget went out the door. Just kidding. But no. So if you have budgeted money for your tabs, or let's say your car payment, actually, that's easier. And let's say you take the advice of the one person who said that they split out their payments into 2 payments each month, which is perfect. That's what I did. So every paycheck you get, if you get paid twice per month, you do half your, that if let's say your payment's $300, $150 goes right from that checking account into that car payment account, right? That car account, which you nickname car. To me, that was super helpful because again, I knew exactly that I had everything budgeted and I could just use that money when I needed to. And so that just helped for me. Again, everybody's different. It totally depends on what works for you and what style. But that's another option too. All right, so let's jump back into the outstanding debt. Now, with debt, again, you write down all this information. Now, there are a couple things to talk about when you're talking about your debt, especially when you're talking about budgeting, because one person was talking about consolidating your debt or paying off your debt faster. So let's talk about the strategies of debt payoff, because when you talk about budgeting, you always want to include what is the best way to pay off this debt? Because so many of us and so many of you on this webinar, one of your goals was to get out of debt, right? Because it's always in the back of our head. So here are some of the most popular strategies for debt payoff that we know of. Number one is going to be your debt snowball. I think this was coined by Dave Ramsey. The debt snowball is this. Basically, you list all of your debts from the smallest balance to the largest balance. You pay the minimum payment on every debt except for the smallest debt. Pay as much as you can towards the smallest debt until you have it paid off. And once that's paid off, then you pay off the debt with the next smallest balance. So for instance, let me go here. If you are looking at these debts that you have, you're going to say to yourself, okay, which debt would you pay off faster? So you would look at this with the debt snowball. You look at the debt with the lowest balance. So it's going to be your discount store right here at $500. Now, at the moment, this couple's only paying $20 a month. That's going to take you forever. Look at this interest rate. Are you kidding me? 21.9%. That's going to take you forever in a day, right? So $500, instead of doing that, let's say that we did what our grandparents told us and pay more than the minimum due on all your debts, right? So let's say you do that. Well, let's say instead of doing that, you just pay the minimum payment on each one of your debts, but you take that 20 extra dollars that you pay towards each one of your debts, so that 20 extra here, 40 here, 20, 20, 20, 20, and let's say you put that 40, so 20, 40, 60, $80 and put it towards your discount store. So instead of paying $20 a month, now you're paying, so $80, $100 a month. So you're going to have that thing paid off in 5 months. By the way, when you pay off a debt, it's like a little party. You're just like, oh, I can do this. The heavens open up. Thank goodness, right? So you're paying off that debt, and then you go to the bill with the next lowest debt. So it'll be the lowest amounts. That'll be the department store card. So you're knocking these debts out. Personally, I tried this. I was in debt way over my eyeballs, and I tried this. I had to try something. And so I tried this strategy first, and let me tell you, it was lovely because with a debt snowball, it's one of those things where like a snowball kind of going down a hill, picking up momentum. You realize that okay, I can pay this off. When you start seeing the smallest debts popping off, it's a great feeling, and you feel like you can continue. Right? I got this. I know they're gonna be paid off soon. Another strategy is going to be your debt avalanche. I know you're going to get cold hair pretty soon, but debt avalanche. Basically, it's the exact same thing. The only difference is that you're paying off the debt with the highest interest rate. So in this case, which debt are you going to pay off faster? The department store, right? At 24.9%. This is why you definitely want to know the interest rates on all of your loans, because the one is you want to figure out the strategy. For the strategy, you want to be able to know the interest rates. So check out the department store card right there, or with the department store card, it's the same thing. Pay more than the minimum payment on that one. So just pay the minimum payment on each one of your debts, but put that extra that you're paying towards the other ones towards that one to knock that out first. And then you go for the payment with the next debt with the highest interest rate, which is going to be your discount store. So do you see where I'm going here? So that's your debt avalanche. Now your third strategy that's out there is going to be your debt cascade. This is where you basically list all your debts, including the minimum monthly payment. But as your minimum payment decreases, you continue to pay the original payment owed, okay? So how this works is this. I got my first car, I think it was the first used car right out of college, and I'm so excited. And my payments were $250, I remember this. And I was good about making my payments. It was a 5-year term, 5-year loan. And 4 years into it, I got this amazing letter in the mail that said, congratulations, Ruth, because you have made all your payments on time. You are good to go. We're gonna knock down your payments amount, so you can put more money back in your pocket. You only have to pay us $100 a month. Woo! Right? I'm so excited. Yeah. Do you think I took that deal? Of course I took that deal. Now I only had to pay $100 a month, but did I still have to? Yes, thank you. You totally beat me to it. What's going to happen? Is that a good deal to take? No, don't do it, right? Why is that not a great deal to take? Because you still have to pay that loan off. It's going to take you longer to pay off, and it's actually going to cost you more in interest. Exactly. They're just getting more of your money. Don't do it. So the debt cascade, continue to pay the minimum amount, or the amount that you agreed upon when you first got that loan. Don't let them decrease it. Don't be silly and do what I did. All right, next up. Now, thank you for hanging in. And so those are the debt payoff strategies that you are available to you. So after you look at your debt, you look at all your expenses, you go back to the spending worksheet, and you're going to go to this adjusted amount, and you're going to put in here, okay, this is what I came out with, this is when I make some cutbacks, and you're going to notice that we got this couple down to a whopping number of 0, right? So they pretty much broke even. Now, tell me, um, now tell me why, if you think that this number right here, 0, is a good number or a bad number. Tell me if you think that 0 is a good number or a bad number. And there's no right or wrong answer. I get good and bad all the time. So a lot of people will say good. A lot of people said bad. Some people are saying bad, you're just surviving. So I thought it was bad when I first started out too. I was like, well, what if their tires go out in their car? Well, they're going to need some money. So in this case, this couple, remember, they're saving $100 a month ASAP. That was one of their goals. So they're saving $100 a month. So let me ask you this question. What if there was $100 here? What would you do with it? If there was $100 left in here after all their bills were paid, after everything happened, what would you do if you had $100? Put it into savings. Yeah, one person was saying put it into savings. Yep, put it towards your debt. So here's the thing. If you have any money here, do something with it. Because who knows that if you have money and you don't tell it where to go, it's going to go wherever it wants to, right? Usually shopping. Exactly. Put it towards your Roth IRA. Put it towards your save some. Play a little bit. I love that, by the way. Exactly. Tell your money where to go. Give your money a job. If there is money here, tell it. Put it somewhere. Because again, it's going to go wherever it wants to, right? So in my thinking, this is actually zero is a good number because it tells me that you have accounted for all of your money. So in this case, you definitely want to be at zero because you know exactly where your money's going. Now, I hope that was helpful. Again, if you want to, I will definitely send you out. In fact, I'll just send you the Shauna, the BECU budget planner so you can have that for sure. Definitely, exactly. So definitely I'll send that to you so she can send that out to everybody, which is great. And I'll get, so if you have any questions about the budget planner, let me know. It's really explanatory, lots of details in there, but definitely let me know if you have questions about it. Okay, real quick, I know we have a couple of minutes left. I want to be respectful of your time. So let's go ahead and jump into money management tips real quick. All right, number one, family and money. Money, having those important money talks. Let me tell you, with family and money, having those intentional money talks is so important. And I don't just mean with your kids. I mean, with your spouse, your partner, whoever you are working with on finances, everybody has a different money issue, money background, right? Maybe your mom paid the bills, maybe your dad paid the bills, maybe your grandma paid the bills in the family, right? Maybe nobody pay the bills, but have those intentional money talks with each other. Even your kids, and I'm not telling you to like sit down with your kids and go through the whole budget. Not a great idea. But I am saying that I go to a lot of high schools, and I can tell you that high schoolers just assume that the parents only spend $200 a month on food per month for a family of five is a normal thought for a high school student. So one thing that's cool is if you have a family and maybe middle-aged kids, high school kids, give them some responsibility with them. Give them 20 bucks. Tell them to go make a meal. Take them to the grocery store. Have them plan out a meal and say, I'm going to give you 20 bucks. I want you to buy the food to make the meal tonight. And they'll actually get an idea of how much things cost. Super, super handy. We've got these great things on our BCU website called The Next Big Talk, and it talks about activities you can actually do with your kids about money. But have that active listening. Have that honest sharing with each other, especially if you want to do things like go on vacation together. Get them involved. Give them some buy-in. Have that emergency fund set up. So personally, I have a savings account. I told you all my other savings accounts, but I have savings for goals, and then I have a savings I nicknamed emergency fund. And so with my emergency fund, you definitely want to be able to keep this. Have this set a specific savings goal with this. I like one person was saying that they want to have $1,000, save $1,000 each month for emergencies, replenish their savings, which is perfect, right? For me, I had savings goal, and every month I would put in a specific amount for my savings. But for my emergency fund, it was more okay. When I first started out, I'm gonna start out with $200. I'm gonna eke away at this, and then I'm gonna go to $400, and then $600, and then $1,000. So try to keep your emergency fund only for emergencies. I'm going to pass this off real quick because, again, we found that with the pandemic, emergencies are not when or if, it's when they happen, right? Number three, keep a spending journal. This is awesome. Even before you start budgeting, for my newbies out there to budgeting, try this. For 30 days, write down every single thing you buy. If it's a can of pop, if it's a bag of chips, write it down. After 30 days, you're going to go through all of these expenses and you're going to see, oh, that's where my money goes, right? Even before you put down stuff in your budget planner or your budget, figure this out. See how much you actually spend in which category, and then you can be like, oh, this is where I need to make some cutbacks. Super helpful. If you have budgeting apps, this might do this for you. Like the BC Money Manager app, it actually does it for you, so you can do that. Use that as well. Number four, pay yourself first. Super important. No one else is going to do it for you. Put money into your savings. Make savings a priority. Automatic transfers are amazing. Setting it and forgetting it so it just money comes right out of your checking account. And what I find is that having that money come right out of your checking account as soon as you get paid is super helpful. Because have you ever tried to put money into your savings account after paying bills? Normally it doesn't happen because we don't budget for that savings up front. And we think, oh, no, I can't do it this month. So make it a mandatory expense, almost like a bill. Assessing your needs versus wants. I love this. Somebody was saying put things on layaway. Think about your purchases. You know, do you need it? That's what I love when I'm like on Amazon. I put everything in my cart and then I go back to, I really need it. remove. Take 24 hours to think about it. Find the best tool for your budgeting. This is a look at the Money Manager app in our BECU at BECU. But again, check your financial institutions, see what they have. For things. I know that this is another thing. We actually do what's called BECU envelopes. It's like the envelope method of budgeting where you put money in different envelopes, but it's electronically off of your accounts. It's really cool. So again, check your financial institution out, see what they have for budgeting apps and tools and resources that you can use too. I'm sure they have a lot of them. So check those out as well. And then number 7, 1 month at a time. Um, Again, budgets are only as good as the effort and that you put into them up front. So take yourself out for coffee, look at your budget, go through it so that you can give yourself a healthy, holistic view of this is where my money is going. So you can achieve those goals because you can. You just have to figure out how I can make my budget and tweak it to get to where I want it to go. Okay. Now, there's lots of financial help out there. We actually partner with a group called Green Path. They're a credit counseling service. They're great. They're nonprofit, but there's lots of different credit, like financial services, things like this out there that you can talk with. We pick the tab for our members, but if you're not a BC member, of course, there are also a credit counseling service that's out there as well. We actually do have lots of different additional webinars and seminars that we do all the time on our website, and they're all free. So if you have any questions or if you have any topics like, getting out of debt, there's 10 tips to reduce debt. There's all these different topics there. There's some great information on our website too. And last but not least, I'm going to end with this because we're at about a minute. If I would love to get your feedback and see how you like this webinar and this information and how we can improve it. Feel free to, if you want to take your phone and scan the QR code. We would love to hear your feedback on this presentation. But also, if you do have any questions, I'm going to put my email in the chat. So if you have any questions about anything, let me know. And if I don't know, I can find the answer for you, hopefully. But yeah, I'll go ahead and put my information. It's ruth.kaneko@bcu.org. And again, I'm going to send that budget planner to you, Tashana, and which would be to get out to everybody so you can have that as well. All right, I'm going to stop there. I hope that was helpful. I hope you got some good tips. I'm going to stop there, but again, let me know if you have any questions. I wish you all the best, and thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Wonderful. Ruth, really quickly, can you put the QR code back up?
Oh, sure. Yeah, sorry.
In the chat? No problem. And I want to say thank you so much to all of you for bringing your great questions, a lot of great tips. I picked up some myself and kind of resource sharing within the chat. And thank you so much, Ruth, for sharing great energy, great resources and tips for getting us started / moving us forward on our journey. I so appreciate it. We will reconnect with you all folks a little bit later. I'll be sending the recording out as well as the resources that were shared, and just hope that everyone has a wonderful rest of your day. We'll see you soon. Take care, everyone.